What's going on, everybody? We're a couple minutes late. We were just chatting. We were having a good time. Looking up. What is that face for, Casey? What is your issue, Captain RV?
What is my issue, Captain RV? My issue is we're a little late. We're normally late. If
Well,
we
that's
were on
true.
time, and we're not even getting any better, and Cash is not here yet.
Yeah, here's the thing though. We were actually on time today to have a conversation because usually we're jumping on last minute and we're just getting started. But today we were here. We're having a little chit chat. And as people might notice, we're not on the YouTube page. And actually they wouldn't notice because we're not on the YouTube page, so they may not know. We are on our backup YouTube page. I'm banned. We got strikes for I got 2 weeks banned for something. I don't know. If you watched on Facebook the episode with Clay Clark that I did, please, God, tell me what in there would be medical misinformation. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I appealed it. I didn't even put anything in the information. And yeah, needless to say, so no YouTube this week, next week, whatever. Anyways, as you can see, some of you you'll see this in a second. This is what the show is supposed to look like. KSOK and Rocci Stucci. I always say it wrong. It ended up being 3 bald white guys, and I had a hair transplant, so I'm cheating. But we did fill in for Rocky. We got Dave Brown in the house. Dave, long time no chat. How you been?
Good, man. Been great. Following all the madness in the world.
Speaking of madness, the show, somebody just asked, what are we talking about today? We are going to be talking about, of course, Trump indictment number 4. We're gonna be talking about the crazy plain lady's apology and the conspiracy theories around it. That's what we're gonna chat about. I don't give a shit that she apologized. I'm gonna be very clear about that. But we're gonna talk about some of the conspiracies surrounding it. There's a lot of discussion on RFK's statements towards abortion, which I think are a little odd and interesting right now. And the fact that his administration walked it back, or not his administration, his team. We're going to talk Hunter Biden's lawyer, Chris Clark, whatever. Chris Clark has filed a motion to leave the Biden camp. I'm going to tell you what CNN said about it, and then we'll tell you kind of what we deem as the truth with it. With that said, Casey, where are you traveling to? I see you're on Starlink right now. What's up?
No, I'm not traveling anywhere. We just came up to get in the mountains, get away from the heat. It looks like Salt Lake's going to be cooling down again going forward, so we probably won't be coming up here. We'll be going other places.
So what do you mean? So you're going to go? Why?
So we're going to go to Idaho in a couple weeks. We're going up there to go to the craters of the moon and go to the lava hot springs.
So you're not dripping with sweat the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, so it looks like Elon Musk just froze there for a second. You're back, though. So real quick, before we get into the show, do we think the Elon Musk-Zuck fight is really going to happen, Dave?
Oh, man. I give it a 50-50 chance at this point. So if it's going to happen, it's not going to happen anytime as soon as people think it might. It's going to be a while. I'd say probably sometime next year. But I think it's a 50-50 chance.
I oddly enough think it's going to happen. Casey shook his head. No?
I might cut out here, but no, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it was all hype.
I think it's all hype. Interesting. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. With that said,
who do you got?
Who do I got?
Yeah, if they actually do fight, who do you have?
I gotta go Elon Musk. Just because I want him to win. I think Zuck has been trained. I think he's been doing this crap for a while. I feel like Zuck fights dirtier than Elon. I feel like Elon would still fight like a 20s boxer. It'd be like, put him up. And then like Zuck took the time to learn the technique, and I think he'll probably have an advantage. I think Elon's a little bit bigger, though. I don't know. I'm be rooting for Elon is all I can say.
What do you think, Casey?
Yeah, I think I of course I'd be with Elon just because I want to see Zuck get his butt kicked. But overall, I don't think Zuck is ready for a fight. I don't even think he's ever put up his hands other than in his training. So
yeah, training counts though.
Does it? What type of training is he doing? Is he actually grappling? I doubt it.
No, they've shown him actually grappling. I've seen him grapple. He's been grappling, but it's different when you get in the fight. I feel like when I visualize Elon Musk fighting, I visualize the Sherlock Holmes movies where he's like a few seconds ahead and he's just like, psh, 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 psh. I just feel that's what I see from it. All right, let's kick the tires, light the fires. Let's go ahead and get today's show started now, right now. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Don't pay attention to the Truth Will Set You Free poster. Episode 147 is upon us. Rocci could not make it. KSOK last minute cancel. We'll try to get her back next week, but I snuck Casey's picture in there. He's hiding behind me. There he is, poking his head in. This is what we got going on for today's show. Hunter Biden lawyer is recusing or whatever from the case. He's gone. He's saying, I'm out. Deuces. Trump indictment numero 4. Crazy plane lady. We're conspiracies around it. And RFK talks about abortion. So that's what we got going on for today. I'm going to throw some banners up on the bottom if you would like to support the show. Here it is right there. Go ahead and patreon.com/bluntforce-discussion. I'll leave this up throughout, as we always like to talk about. You guys like to buy them randomly. I see sporadically some orders. We are going to have another affiliate with water pretty soon. So good, filtered right out of my sink. Casey, you're going to be proud of me. I installed a filtration system underneath the sink. High five. All right. So we'll see how that works out. So the Dr. Arda Show, use BFD at checkout for 10% off. Casey and I are rocking the hats. Where is it? Right here. AwakenOutWokeStore.com. Use Awake for 15% off. Dave, tell everybody about the Great American Syndicate.
Oh, yeah, man. It's just an extension of our annual event that we just finished this past one. Was it? Like June, right?
Yeah, like almost 3 months.
Yeah, our second event in Dallas, Texas. So just a community of like-minded patriots who care about the direction of this country, who are committed to improving themselves, their families, their communities, and country, and who want to be a part of an association, a group of like-minded folks. So that's what the Great American Syndicate is. We have a podcast. My partner in crime, Barb Allen, has a podcast called Flex Your Freedom that we do through Great American Syndicate. And just like this show, we post a lot of positive news stories and things in current events and politics and things like that. So you can follow us at greatamericansyndicate.com.
There it is right there on the bottom. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and get the show started. Throw this up as the permanent. Where do you gentlemen? Oh, first off, we've got actually a halfway decent amount of people watching. Not enough likes. So please do us a favor. Hit the like button. Hit the share button. If you don't want to hit the share, because God knows what we're going to talk about. At least we're not talking about race this week yet. Maybe. Who knows where it'll go. Hit that like button. Everybody right now on the count of 3. There you go. I see those numbers going up. Appreciate it. Hit the smiles, hit the hearts, hit the thumbs up. Do that if you can. Rose has a question for you, Dave. What's Barb been up to?
Barb has been hanging back, working on our Great American Syndicate. She's doing well. We've had a crazy summer. My daughter's going off to the Air Force. We got kids, graduated high school or college this past June. Now they're going back to college. So we've just been kind of enjoying summer. She's been doing her side hustle with real estate. So a lot of you don't know, but I flip houses for a living. So I renovate houses, buy them, fix them up, resell them for profit. And a lot of the projects that we do, Barb also lists. So that's basically what we've been up to.
All right. Where do you want to start, guys?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
How about we start?
Let's start with the indictments. Obviously, the big news. We'll get to that. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show because I know that'll be the predominance of the show. So I want to talk about the RFK Jr. situation right now. So a lot of people know that RFK is probably my favorite pick. A lot of people on this page hate that. I believe Dave and Casey, you're Vivek. Vivek is your number one, correct? And
I don't see another solution, man. I just don't.
And honestly, Vivek is probably my favorite on the Republican side right now. I'm not going to lie. And I would consider myself a Republican, to be very clear, but I think RFK is conservative in most ways, besides some of his stances, specifically being on abortion. Going into this video, have you seen the chatter today? Because I had a bunch. Everybody knows I love RFK. My mom actually went and saw him in a very small room. Got to see him speak a couple days ago. I got to see the videos, and I mean, the guy is just freaking phenomenal. But whatever. What are your thoughts on RFK to this point, Dave?
I'm kind of in your camp, Anthony. Like, I definitely look. The guy is likable. I just think he's a likable. He's got the name attachment with it. He comes through as being really true and authentic. I love a lot of the things that he says. I feel like he's where the Democratic Party used to be for the most part, as a whole. And so, yeah, I mean, I just like the guy. I like a lot of the stuff that he talks about. I like how he's anti big government, anti, big pharma. All those things are right on. So yeah, I enjoy listening to the dude.
Yeah. And I'm seeing a lot, of course, our Trump crowd in there. And trust me, if it comes down to it, I'm not going to be, if it's Trump versus Biden or if it's Trump versus anybody on the left side that can possibly win, like Michelle Obama, I don't think RFK's got a chance on that side. I'll be voting in the primary in Texas for RFK because you're allowed to do that in Texas. So it's really going to be, trust me, I am a Trump supporter at that point, obviously, but I think we have a gauntlet to go through until then. Casey?
No, you can't do that, Rousseau. You cannot change your mind. You have to be all in on one way. Right, all in. So if you supported Trump in 2020, it's all Trump 2024, no matter what. So I don't know what you're talking about. You can't be doing that.
You can't have a mind. You can't have a mind. All right. So for the RFK stuff, there was a big hubbub made yesterday, or 2 days ago is when it started, actually. RFK did an interview at the Iowa State Fair, which I'm going to show the interview because his campaign took steps back. I liked what he said because he's a Democrat that actually had a common sense thought process to abortion, which the woman that was interviewing him is really bad at math, because he specifically said something about 3 months. She put the words 15 weeks to 21 weeks in his mouth, which I thought was weird. And then his campaign, and we have not heard him speak unless it's on the RFK Tucker show that I've not seen yet. But I'll go ahead and play this, and then I'll tell you what was said. So let's go ahead and bring this up. Hit the play button. That is not the right play button. Here we go.
Volume is low.
So you would cap it at 15 weeks? Or 21 weeks?
Did you see? I'm going to keep stopping it because this was on a network. But you saw him like doing the math in his head. Like, what is she talking? I just said 3 months, and she just made up 15 weeks, which is technically 3 months is right around 13 weeks, but whatever. And then she just randomly, arbitrarily said 21. And sorry, the volume is low. That's actually the recording because there's so much noise, and that actually comes into play into why his team retracted his statement.
So 3 months. Sign a federal cap on that. Yes. Okay. So not unlimited access to abortion, as many in the Democratic Party. I think the states, once a child is viable outside the law, I think that the state has an interest in protecting that child. That is supersede. And I think that the state has an interest in every level, but at some point, I'm for medical freedom. I think individuals ought to be able to make their own choices. This is why I'm surprised to hear you say it happened. Well, because, I think at some point you say, not the state, I would personally not. I think the states have a right to protect a child unless the child goes violent. That right increases.
Wait, go again.
There's very, very few abortions that are performed after that period of time. Anyway. Most abortions are performed during the first 3 months of life, and I think that's when, I fought harder than anybody in this country for medical freedom.
So again, that was his response to that, and that afterwards it was retracted and walked back. I do think it was clear that he had a little trouble hearing. Essentially, his team said, he was talking about Saturday. I think the states throughout. In response, what the hell is it? I just had it pulled up. Essentially, his team said that that he could not hear very well, and he firmly believes that the right is up to the woman for as long as she wants during the pregnancy. It has not come out of his mouth. It has come out of his Democrat team's paperwork, which is so stupid because finally somebody had a middle ground belief. And I know there's a lot of pro-life people in here. I know that. And I know that there is also some quiet pro-choice conservatives out there. He had the belief of viability. There's a viability at about 5 months. That's a little bit late. He brought up the whole thing about 3 months, which is a actual logical middle ground. And he did kind of correct his statement about 3/4 of the way through where he did not firmly believe in a federal ban. And you know what? If I was a pro-life, full-blown pro-life advocate, I would not believe in a federal ban either if I was thinking logically based on the way the Constitution and government works. That is why Roe versus Wade was overturned. That is why we celebrated Roe versus Wade being overturned. There should not be something federal in place when it is a state-by-state issue. So I truly, in what he said there, and in his clear having trouble, first off, he had trouble answering this question, which is very rare for him to have trouble answering. It could have been the volume. It could have been whatever it was. But I still agree with his statements. The retraction, I need to hear from the horse's mouth. Who wants to go first on this one?
Jump in, Case.
So, I was going to go from where you were leading, Russo. This is not a government decision. This is a medical decision that should be between the patient and the doctor. If there is a reason for it, then that should be done. I do believe there is some guidelines that could be put in place from the medical field. Am I the one to make that determination? Absolutely not. Are 99% of the voters that would vote on this make that determination? Absolutely not. However, I am for, if it was given to the voters to make a determination, that is how we can make decisions, which means it's not a federal decision. It is state by state. And so if we left it up to the states to make the determination and they worked with their constituents, then so be it. But overall, it's not the president's place. That is not the question we should be asking them. The president doesn't matter on abortion. It should be down to other levels. The president should matter about how we're running our country and protecting our borders. That is where it comes in.
And the economy. I think it's interesting you bring that up because this is obviously a mainstream media, and they know that this is a trap question for RFK because he's spoken in the past that he is pro-choice, but within reason, and they do not want the within reason. This is NBC wanting to catch him again in something they can make sure, because they see him growing in popularity with the conservatives, and they needed a way to shut him down. And he actually had a halfway decent answer, to which they took the bait now, and they've rescinded that answer and changed it to, it's a woman's choice, whatever. Dave, go ahead.
I don't know. It's always been a gotcha question. It always will be. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here. It's a tough argument, and it's always going to be a tough debate on what people believe, whether they're pro-life or pro-choice. I'm someone who absolutely sympathizes with and understands the pro-life position. I would probably lean more pro-life, but I think overall I'm a pro-choice person, but I'm also a common sense person who has logic and sensibilities and wants to protect life. So I think there needs to be, a cap on what is legal. And I think it should be something that's the same baseline as the rest of the world that allows abortion. So like in Europe, I think it's 12 or 15 weeks, right? So I wouldn't be opposed to a federal law that has a minimum. But at the same time, I like things going back to the states, right? I'm someone who I thought overturning it was a bad decision. And my reasoning for that is once something is law across the nation and has been so for decades, I think it's law. And I don't think that should be changed. So I think it should have just been left alone. That's my opinion on things.
Interesting. Yeah, I like so this comment, although graphic, I don't disagree with you. I think it should not be there should be zero government funding going, especially federal funding going into abortion.
Yeah, see, I think Anthony, that's the key point that you just made.
Yeah.
Right. Above all else, I think it's the federal funding of it.
Yeah. I think that's a big problem. And I think that, and I agree, 12 to 15 weeks, it's a life at that point. I completely understand that. And that's why I think everybody, that's such a gray area. Everybody's cap is different. You guys have heard me talk about this on this show. I could be swayed anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks because guess what? That's still a pro-life discussion with a hint of choice. You have a choice. You know you're pregnant. And fact is, once you're getting to 3.5, 4 months, that you've no longer you had a choice. That choice was there. But again, I know that a lot of the pro-life argument, which I guarantee you will lose another election if everybody goes, the moment your penis sticks in the vagina, that is it. That is the time. That's a great religious dogma and belief system, but it will lose an election. I'm sorry if that is the way that you want to go gung-ho. That is going to supersede, that right for choice is going to supersede a lot of different areas because it's going to be misconstrued by the voter. But
Anthony, you have people on the left or on the right. They're so far right that contraception is going to be banned next. Like that, that's just as bad. So, but that's just not reality. There's got to be some common ground here.
And there's uneducated people on both sides. There's a lot of people on the pro-choice side that are like, babies, that it only happens in the first 8 weeks. And then there's people on the conservative side that literally have never even heard of the fact that there's an abortion pill. They think that every abortion happens with 4 steps and a yank and the baby's head ripping off, as graphic as that is. That's actually not the truth. The predominance of, that's what a lot of, because that kind of fear tactic has been brought on. So people don't realize there's a pill that just flushes people out. Again, not okay religiously. If that's, that's totally your freedom. We also live in a country. My argument lately, whenever I have this discussion, is we live in a country that when people tell me that the reason they are ultra pro-life is because the Bible, and that's what that tells them, that is 100% spot on. I understand it, but we live in a country with religious freedom. So if somebody does not believe the same way, I know we're a Christian nation, a Judeo-Christian nation, but if somebody does not believe the same way, so you can't use religious concepts to sway that decision. You could talk about life, and that's why I do think there's an argument with the 6-week discussion. There's also an argument with when the fetus is viable. I think there's a shit ton of gray area. So I just, that's the issue with it. And I honestly respected his response as a Democrat, respected his response. I do not respect his team rescinding that response. I think that's gutless, and I would like to hear from him.
Sure.
Well, that's going to come back.
Agreed. Yeah, and he answers everything. So I would like to hear. God, if I wish my mom was able to record his whole little stump speech. There was only like 100 people in the room, and he just crushed it, talking about the issues that we care about: the Black Rocks, the inability to buy homes because the reason the prices went up or because of banks buying them. And then farmland, pig farms. He talked about stuff that actually mattered in this country.
Did he talk about an island that just burnt down?
He might have.
No?
I didn't see, I saw about 30 minutes of it. And I know a couple people have asked about, Maui. And have you, before we're taking a curveball, we'll get into Maui real quick. I've seen the videos of these weird flashes, the fires that are going in circles. I don't want to be conspiratorial. I do think it's odd that that fire happened that close to the ocean. Were they that ill prepared? Bobby Sauce did a whole video talking about how they have the most extensive alarm system in the country, and not single in the world. I don't know if it's world or country, and not a single alarm went off in the whole state, the whole state, the whole island, anywhere. And the fact is, on the other side of the island, there was no wind. It's not
Well,
that big of a
the
deal.
other side, that's expected by the way it's done, and
Okay.
so the way the wind comes in is it will hit the top of the mountains and then come down in the canyons and come through. And so the wind, fine. The problem with Maui, I really don't give a rat's ass on how it started at this point. You have thousands of Americans that need help. Our president won't even acknowledge it. And we as Americans are spending our time on conspiracy theories instead of helping.
No,
That is where I have a
I get
problem with
that.
it.
And there was
I don't care how it started. We can deal with that later. They need all of these houses are gone.
But that's part of the helping, Casey, is because, a lot of people are talking about that all these elites who have been wanting to buy this land for decades are literally like
Sure.
wolves right now salivating. And so to me, not only helping people on the ground, but keeping the wolves at bay is also help, right? Like getting these people to be able to rebuild without them having to lose everything and or have to sell out to some BlackRock or Vanguard conglomerate or some elitist group. Like I think that help is equally as important because these were the last standing, tribal, whatever, natives of Hawaii who for decades have said no, 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 no. And now it is absolutely ripe for the picking for these big globalists. They want to create this giant autonomous island based on technology. Like now is the perfect time. And so that raises a lot of questions,
Meanwhile,
No, I get that.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish, Casey. My bad.
I get why that's a thing. But spending time on the conspiracy theories, which I do believe in some of them, it makes sense. But spending the time on that instead of trying to come together and get people money to where they can get back on their feet or to be able to support them is more important than trying to point out the conspiracy theories, because all you're going to do is cause arguments. And I knew this comment was going to come up. $700 payments to residents. That is common FEMA practice. They have had that law in place for a very long time. That is a normal practice when a state or a community goes through this type of turmoil. Hurricanes, all of that happens all the time.
Just to be clear, because again, the conservatives are running with that. That's just a starting point. That is handing out $700 checks like chiclets, and then the rest is taken care of by FEMA as well. So
right, but that's the point that's so wrong. Like the conservatives are spot on about the $700 thing. Why would a president of the United States and his team go out and make a post like here's what we're gonna do? We're gonna give everyone $700. Like what a freaking idiot could you be? Even though that might be a regular course of action that automatically happens, he could have elaborated on that, added context to it. Like we're going to be with you through the end, no matter what. And you know what? We have this automated thing that kicks in place where people get $700, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
I agree.
But constantly he just drops the ball on it, or he has no comment.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
There should have been some context given there instead of. I think he's got no concept of money. 40 something, almost over 50 years now in government, or 50 years in government, you haven't had to spend a dime of your own money forever.
No, when your son is getting it all for you,
right?
Of course not.
Yeah, you're spot on that. I agree. And then there was a comment made about Ukraine above, in terms of American News Network. They were saying that Putin has made statements that if we continue to fund it, it will be World War III. The discussions that I have had, I don't know, Casey. The discussions that I've had with those kinds of theorists and those people that see what's going on in terms of a global atmosphere and like they hear some things, we are moving closer towards what could be World War III because of the conflict in Ukraine. And I think that it's the fact that we are still this within a day of what's needed in Maui happening, Biden then asks Congress for another $40 billion or something like that.
40 and 25.
200 million.
Well, 200 million got sent. That's done. There was another 40 billion asked for. 200 million was just like
40 billion.
His request. Yeah.
So
it's some astronomical number.
The optics are just really piss poor.
Yeah, they're terrible. So that was our little diversion on Maui. Let's see. Where are we? Let's go ahead and you know what? We'll end it with crazy plane lady. Let's do Trump
Jesus.
indictment and then Hunter Biden lawyer. So let me see. What do I got? I want to play a couple different clips. Let's see. I'm going to share this. So as you guys know, Trump was indicted for the 4th time. I did do a little radio today. I'll be doing a show tonight talking about it. Let me go ahead and bring up I've been watching a lot of how CNN is covering it because we already know some of the load of shit. Some of the fun stuff you guys may not know, by the way, is one of the co-conspirators on the RICO charge, because they're charging them with this massive conspiracy like what the mafia got charged with. Ironically enough, Rudy Giuliani was one of the first people to start instituting the RICO charges, the racketeering in RICO against mafia cases in New York. And now he's actually being tried for a RICO statute, which is such an utter and complete farce. One of the 91 charges, first off, one of the people charged is Kanye West, like one of his music managers or somebody connected to Kanye West, because he perpetrated the lie from Donald Trump that he believes Zoe won the election. So that was one. And then one of the charges is the fact that before the election, one of the 91 statements is that before the election, Donald Trump said he was going to win. Not a joke. That's one of the charges. One of the other charges is after the election, they're using quotes from television where he says, "I believe I won the election."
Yeah,
That's what they're considering. I just watched, there's a video that was sent to me with 20 minutes of Democrats post-elections over the last 30 years. 20 minutes of them going, "I firmly believe that I won the election. I know that I won the election." 20 minutes of this. And that's 2 of the 91 charges against Donald Trump. And you know what? If you've got a good charge in there that's, sprinkled in throughout, the fact that those are included and you did the bullshit paperwork should be enough for us to realize this is bullshit. While I'm looking for this video, you guys chat.
Well, this is nothing new. Carrie Lake exposed all of that when she was running, and she brought out all the paperwork and all of the documentation showing all of the left denying the 2016 election and saying Trump didn't win. Like, Trump was not a legitimate president. He was an illegitimate president.
Right.
All of this has been said, but this is just a rinse and repeat. One group of people, elected officials, get mad, and then they claim the same thing the other group of elected officials claimed prior elections. They're all part of the same game, and they're creating the same drama, and everybody keeps buying into it. That's the problem.
Agreed.
Right, but the kicker here is if January 6th never happened, none of these charges would be taking place. Like, it was because there was an attack on the Capitol, right, and all this stuff that went down, that we're seeing this big push now. It's not so much that he was saying, "Oh, I won," or the election was rigged, or there was mass mail-in ballots. None of the state legislatures approved the changes to election law. Like, you can go down the rabbit hole, and absolutely, like, the election was not a free and fair election. It was absolutely rigged. I stand by that. I'll debate that all day long. And constitutionally, he has every right to state that. So
yes,
I think every charge that we've seen come out, and again, this is someone who was a huge Trump supporter prior to 2016, someone who is ready to move on, right, to someone new, someone younger. But if it comes to push to shove and it's Biden versus Trump, I'm voting for Trump all day long. But all these charges are bogus, in my opinion. They're just political attacks, and that's it.
So I'm going to show.
What are they so afraid of?
I'm going to show this clip. I forgot that I recorded one other one that I did not send over yet. I'm drawing a blank where it is. It was just interesting. Where is it? That might be it. No, I'll find it. This is a good one, though. We're going to go ahead and play this. This is just to show how intense they believe this is and how they have to control this narrative so deeply.
You see echoes of Watergate in this, or is it bigger than that? How do you see it?
It's much bigger than Watergate, Caitlin. It's of a whole different dimension. It goes to the very foundation of democracy. Nixon abused some powers. He exceeded his authority when he shouldn't, but he wasn't taking on the basics of the country. Whereas Trump wanted to stay in office, he wanted to use Georgia and abuse Georgia as part of that plan. And so this is very different.
All right. So he is literally, and I'm trying to find this other clip because it's hilarious.
Are they talking about Joe Biden in this clip or Donald Trump?
They're literally talking about Donald Trump in this. I mean, oh God.
Is it in Georgia where, like, you saw the graph and then the spike at 4 o'clock in the morning? Wasn't that Georgia?
It was Georgia. That was also the one. And, Steven Crowder talked about it this morning, talked about the whole, the suitcases, which I have not ever let go of, the suitcases underneath the table, pulled out and then put in when there was nobody watching. But when Georgia's people said the chain of custody was just fine, that actually goes along with the rules of the chain of custody. What is the rules of the chain of custody? Well, whatever that was followed. They never could answer it, and it's deemed misinformation to talk about those 2 or 3 suitcases that were pulled out. And if you say suitcases, it was corrected into another terminology for like what the bags were called. Like, no, that's an incorrect. It wasn't a suitcase. It was a this. And then ultimately in their show, I'm so mad. I can't find this. I recorded. I have it here. They had a subject. Is it CNN? Son of a bee sting. Can't find it. There was a whole thing with the headline of CNN saying, we show Republican voters the video of Donald Trump when he or the phone call of Donald Trump talking to the guy from Georgia. I really thought I was gonna be able to pull it up. Anyways, talking to the guy from Georgia when he made the comment, which they always cut like so quickly. They were like, this Donald, we need to find 11,000, 17,000 votes, one more than we need. They chop it. What's hilarious about this CNN clip, which if I can find it, please God, let me find it. They actually asked Democrats and Republicans. One Republican was like, it's not great. All the Democrats are like, this is illegal. This is terrible. So a completely misfired headline because the Democrats were the ones that were pretty much saying like, this is criminal, which they were only showed a brief portion of the clip. That's it. And it shows the misinformation from CNN. I'm going to keep looking for it while you guys talk about it.
Yeah. If Trump says we need to find 12,000 votes, right? But if they went out and they found that 12,000 votes were actually cast illegally, right? Isn't that finding the votes? Like actually showing what's true, what's not true?
Right.
That's the intent, right? It's the intent behind his words. It's the context of his words. Like when he came out 2 weeks ago and he's like, you come after me, I'm going to come after you. Like he wasn't talking about like going after the jurors in this case or anything. Like he's like, the Biden administration and the DOJ is clearly attacking me, persecuting me, right? Payback's a bitch. And that's why part of me like would just love to see Trump win again just to see what he would do.
And that's kind of where I'm at on this. Oh, I did find it.
Okay. Trump's gonna win. Like that's the thing. I think the biggest challenger on his side is Vivek. But when it comes to Trump and this stuff, they're just nitpicking at his words and taking it in very literal sense. And that is what the left and the government has always done. They have never taken in context. And so when it comes to these situations, they just want to pick up anything they can. Anything. When it comes to Trump, my biggest fear is every president going in, their second term is always least productive. It is the least productive term they serve. And so I think Trump is more likely to be different than any other president we have had that served 2 terms, but we'll have to see. I think he will want some revenge. I think he will.
Yeah. And all that really depends on, one, if he wins, 2, if somehow, they hold the House and win the Senate, right? And then he can just basically literally do whatever he wants, like clean slate, and really go after the people that have been persecuting him now for 7 years with lies, stories, innuendo, bogus investigations. Like, who is the real traitor here? Who is the real person who was looking to overthrow our government? Like, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just clear as day what
Sure.
happened and what was done, and they used COVID-19 as the disguise, as like, oh, it's
Yeah.
okay because it's a pandemic. Like, bullshit.
All right, here you go.
There's the main thing that no one can combat is 2019. America was at the highest and the best economy and best performing nation that we have ever had, ever in 2019.
Yeah.
And the only way
And
they
that's
could do that is bringing COVID.
And this lie is so egregious that it's a lie that you can't backtrack on. You can't backpedal on, right? Not on a country that is,
Right.
America. Like they cannot do it. They cannot fall on their own sword. They cannot let anything come out that would question whether our election in 2020 was free and fair. Like, there could be no truth of it. There could be no second guessing, no questioning of it. Like, they cannot go backwards. But
Right.
the thing is, you have half the country who's pretty committed to the fact that it wasn't right. Like, there was something amiss.
Sure.
So let me show this clip. I found it. Sorry about that. I had it on a different video. So note the headline. Just note the headline on this one. Republican voters listen to the phone call that landed Trump in hot water. See what they had to say. You'll hear the duration of the clip, and also note they tell whether or not it's a Republican or a Democrat. So there you go.
Yeah, that's a crime.
Immediately it's a lie. So right as you can see, I know it's probably very small, especially if you're watching on your phone. Bottom it says Jessica Flowers, Democratic voter. They didn't say that. They should have just said voters listen to the phone call. But all right.
That statement in and of itself is not necessarily.
That's an independent voter.
CNN asked voters in the Atlanta suburb of Alpharetta to listen to a short clip of a call President Donald Trump had with Georgia's Republican Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger. That January 2021 call kicked off the local district attorney's investigation into Trump's efforts to overthrow the 2020 election. If Trump hopes to win in 2024, he'll likely have to win over politically moderate suburbs like this one.
All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state. Do you think?
That's that. First off, they cut it off super short. That's what they show people. That's what they have them listen to. But even as a rational-minded individual, knowing that people have conversations like that all the time, what's so bad? I don't get it.
You know what the key point is in all of this? This election was not certified yet. Meaning, like, they were still debating these things in court. Like, they were going to court. The votes were being recounted. So him stating something like that, whether it was out of context or in context, makes no difference, because what if there was a pallet of votes out there for Trump that got lost? The election was not certified yet. There was no overturning it. He's not trying to overturn the election. He's trying to win the election because it hasn't been called yet.
Yeah.
Except it was called by the media.
Yeah. I'm going to keep
It
playing.
means nothing.
There's nothing wrong with that. No, it's not illegal.
Where's the? There's an overlay of audio. Hold on. It might be. Let me see.
That's ridiculous. That call that he made. It's like you can't accept a loss, and which is very sad for the president of the United States to question that is just unbelievable.
I don't think any one particular of the indictments is certainly not going to sway my stance one way or another. Trump is leading the Republican field for the 2024 nomination. Since the first indictment in March, national public polls have shown around half of Republican voters supporting Trump. CNN asked Republican voters how another possible indictment in Georgia could impact their vote.
My name is Gary Olberg, Chad. I live here in Alpharetta. This whole thing with Trump is BS.
I love that they've got some actual truth in the actual article, but they're so busy. Like, whoever was in charge of the headline, they were like, all right, we didn't get what we wanted, so we need you to just do the headline and hope that people see Republicans, they won't watch it, and they'll assume, this. I just...
It's the best way to say it. The indictment plays no role in how I'm going to vote. The way I vote will depend on the policies and the people that I'm voting for. we need to elect people who have some integrity and who have some character that we're not getting that anymore.
Unfortunately, I think that that's not the first time that that type of conversation has not occurred before. I don't approve of it. I am not up on legalities enough to know if this is an indictment is the right way to go. If Biden and Trump run against each other, I can't support either one of them.
It's just part of a pattern of behavior, and the rules don't apply to me that I think is just inappropriate. So it caused me to lose support for.
So Rob, this last guy goes on to say he would still bite the bullet and vote for Trump in the end. He would just have to do that. And I think it's interesting. Again, there's some Republican voters in here. Not everybody pays attention to the news as much as we do and as much as our followers do. So you've got people that are maybe hearing these things for the first time and they're showing a 12-second clip and not giving a full story. This is how dangerous it is. So how dangerous CNN is and how dangerous across the board the way that they handle information is. So anyways, that was it on that.
Yeah. Sadly, Anthony, that's the biggest point here is that most people did not, are not, will not pay attention enough to really dig in and see, what's happening. And so it's just surface level stuff that they see, headlines that they see, and it's a quick judgment. Oh, it must be this way. And then that's it. They're sold. They move on with their life. And they know that, right? The powers that be know that, and they take advantage of that. That's exactly what we're seeing.
Yeah. I'm going to show one other video on this subject because, again, I was big into the CNN videos because it was just fascinating how they were covering this and how ridiculous they were making this out to be. Let's see. Here it is. This is Jeff Duncan. Was a Republican. He is a Republican by name. I believe it's referred to as a rhino. He's the ex-Georgia lieutenant governor who testified before the grand jury and is trying to bury Donald Trump and make his name with it. I don't know what he was offered, but here you go.
Can't hear it.
Yeah, we got to fix your audio, dude.
Is it my audio or is it just this one's a shitty
We
audio?
we can't
hear it at all.
It's very faint. I can barely hear him talk.
Well, this one's a crappy audio, but it gets better when he's in studio. There's two key words I want you to pick up on, and I'll go a little bit forward on it.
I certainly think this is a pivot point for us. As a Republican that cares about the future of this country, this is our moment to hit the reset button.
So the key there, if you could pick it up, he said, this is our moment to hit the reset button. Found it very interesting. He said that reset, not just, we talk about the whole, whatever. So he's going to come now on screen and listen to what he says again on this.
Hope is not echoed by.
Is that better audio?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
He was it was really crappy audio on the street. So.
Majority of Republicans who still say in polling that they believe that Biden didn't legitimately win the election, and it's not.
God forbid Americans have freedom of speech and an opinion.
Shared by most of the people running against Trump. But you think this one changes things?
Yeah, this certainly carries an even bigger weight than the other ones. I mean, as if a federal indictment doesn't carry weight or other states' indictments, but certainly this added to it. But
let me state why it's a bigger deal, because from a federal level, he can actually be pardoned. On a state level, he cannot be pardoned. So say this is the one that sticks, he would actually have much more of an issue of becoming president, because he would not be able to get rid of these crimes. So this one does, even though it's just as ridiculous, if not more ridiculous than all of them, this one actually has, if say they get a Mark Meadows as one of the people to turn on him, or some people out of the 19 people they went after that they named on the indictment, if they can get somebody to turn on them, maybe it sticks. You cannot actually expunge or get rid of or pardon a state crime like this.
yeah, I'm going to be critical of my party. I'm going to be critical of those that are running for president in my party. I'm going to be critical of governors and senators. They know the right thing to do here. The right thing to do is to call Donald Trump out for lying, misleading us, and taking our Republican Party straight to the ditch. That's what's happened here. And until we all want to stand up and speak as loudly and clearly as we possibly can that the Republican
That's what we're doing. Standing up, speaking as loudly as possibly we can because we have that freedom. I keep stopping.
You got that part right.
Yeah, no kidding. All right.
It needs to use this as a pivot point to hit the reset button to go
Bam.
to GOP 2.0 that really gets us back to talking about.
That's it. That's all you need to see. The he keeps keying in on that reset word, and it's like that. I mean, this isn't a Republican Democrat issue. This is a globalist issue. This is, and there's no, the fact that he had that down each time. We need to pivot and reset, pivot and reset. I think that spoke volumes. That's all I can say. Anybody?
When it comes down to this, like this is all just ridiculous politics. That's all it is. And it's unfortunate that people keep falling for these games. Let's just call them games, because honestly, there are questions with practically every election. So why can't we question them? All this is doing is amplifying something to where it makes anybody that questions any election to be a problem in the future. And so this is not the solution, to be able to point fingers at anybody using their constitutional rights to ensure a fair and free election was done. And when it comes to anybody that questions that, they need to be held accountable and be taught the principles of this country, that everybody has the same equal rights. But no, that's not.
Stacey Abrams still won't claim. Stacey Abrams still won't claim that she lost the election in Georgia. She's allowed to do that. I don't understand.
Right, but and the thing is,
in Georgia,
any election in our history was going to be questioned, challenged, gone through with a fine-tooth comb, looked at upside down, inside out. It's going to be an election that was held during the only pandemic really since who knows when. Like that's the election you question, and that's all we're doing. But we're anti-American for doing it. Like when it should be just a logical approach. Like we had a pandemic where people were locked down. They couldn't go to work. They couldn't go to restaurants. They had to stay home. They were coerced to take a jab. And then we have a national election for president where they changed rules. They put in mass mail-in ballots that we've never seen before in this country. And we're supposed to not question it? Like, give me a break. Are you seriously?
And there's even the required speaking point of freest, fairest election.
Correct.
I had a conversation with a guy yesterday that's been in media for 40 years. And I brought this up on the video I did last night. He was talking to me about a couple different things. One, it was it was at a party with Peter Jennings years ago, and they got into a conversation, and it was regarding a feeling that his father felt that Peter Jennings was anti-Semitic, and Peter Jennings explained to him, your dad was very intuitive. He goes, I'm not anti-Semitic, but I do sympathize with Palestinians because I spent a couple months living with them. And he talked about the media narrative. And he goes, well, where do you come up? How did you have this story, that story? He goes, I'm not in control of my stories. I've never been. I report what's there. And that was 30 years ago. It's only gotten worse. And Peter has said there's some stories that are me, and then there's some stories that are acquired. And then fast forward a little bit later to Michael Brown. This was the perfect reference because this is where I started paying attention to politics. And he was in his news producer's room. The news producer got the required piece, and the piece was Michael Brown was, in the process of making himself a better man. He was a great standout kid, and all these different things about him being a good person. And the news producer goes, the hell? Absolutely not. Like, I'm not reporting this. It's obvious that this is a lie. And then the guy goes, and he called the higher up. He gets on the phone while the person I was speaking to was across the table from him. This is in 2013, and calls up the high up and said, I'm not running the story as is. What he was told over the phone, I think it was on speaker. What he was told on speaker was, your kids are about to be in college. You're going to run the story the way that it is. So then he goes, holy shit. And he said to the guy, he goes, what's the deal here with this? He goes, who makes that call? Who does that? Is that, the news crew, who is producers, higher ups, the high up? Who is it? He goes, it's not from the company. And he goes, and if I have to tell you, I got to kill you. So on the way out, he goes, I want you to kill me. Who is it? And he goes, it's a 3-letter agency that controls the bulk of the news.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is from pretty much the relation of the horse's mouth. That's as close as I can get to it, but that's the story that was told. So anyway,
Anthony, to that point, did you see RFK Jr. on Tucker with there's one clip where he basically says RFK Jr. also unveiled Mike Pompeo's chilling confession about the CIA. He looked me dead in the eyes, Mike Pompeo, and he said, the entire upper echelon of the agency, the CIA, is made up of individuals who do not believe in the democratic institutions of the United States of America. That's a quote.
Correct.
Now, we all know on this panel and everyone who's listening to this, for a fact, it's been proven that the CIA influences and does what it can to influence other elections across the globe. Does it not?
Yep.
And so if you have a CIA where that entire upper echelon is anti-American, would they then not try to influence an election when it is the most influenceable, like maybe during a pandemic?
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
Along with the other alphabet agency, the FBI is used to distract everybody from paying attention to anything the CIA does, because everybody points fingers to the FBI being the government's big money handlers and going around and regulating whoever's in office by doing their beck and call. That's exactly what the CIA and the FBI does.
And this is why I also like RFK, because he wants to completely dismantle the CIA because they killed his friggin' father and uncle. But
right. Yeah,
I remember on one video I saw somebody come across saying like, RFK is not going to do anything. He doesn't care about what the CIA does. I'm like, he has got a vested interest like nobody's business. But anyway. All right, real quick, let's get Hunter Biden lawyer, just to recap this. And again, I watched the play on CNN. I've been getting into CNN because it's almost fun. Hunter Biden's lead defense lawyer, Chris Clark, filed a motion to leave just come after Biden brought on another attorney to represent him in a years-long Department of Justice probe. We, of course, this is above our pay grade. We don't know what's going on, but the metrics, the optics do not look good after the fact that his whole plea deal just fell apart because of the FARA allegations that were not allowed to be passed on, foreign relations, the bigger sting, he would not be able to get out of it. So this is falling apart right now. So they are so Chris Clark's leaving. Now, CNN spin, by the way, on this was, and this is true to a point, but they want to soften the blow for the American people to not think this is severe. If this was Trump, this would be holy shit kind of news. His attorney is leaving him. Like if Donald Trump's assistant decides to take a week off, they report it as though he wronged something. But in all reality, they're saying that he's going to have to probably testify now in this case, which is why he can no longer be the lawyer. That's a little bit of a stretch. It is part of it, but he could actually do both at the same time. He could be on the same stand. Regardless, that's the spin from CNN. But I do think there's something happening with Hunter Biden right now, and it should be pretty big coverage right now, and nobody's paying attention to it on the left.
I saw someone else on another, I can't remember her name, political analysis, and she was basically saying that is it David Weiss, right?
Yeah.
From Delaware, that Garland made him the special counsel because it was kind of like a chess move, because if he didn't do that, Weiss could have been forced to testify, and if he was forced to testify, he could have blown open the whole thing, that this sweetheart deal was all orchestrated and all done by Merrick Garland. And what Merrick Garland did was like, I'll just make you the special counsel, so that never happened.
That's actually what I'm reading right here on Axios, but they're not being clear about it. But that is exactly it. Attorney General Merrick Garland last week announced the elevated U.S. Attorney Delaware David Weiss, which would now make sense because Chris Clark, if he has to testify, anything that was during his tenure with Hunter Biden would be attorney-client privilege. So they've essentially protected their information that way by switching counsel. Super smart. And that's how they're going to get away with shit always.
Yeah. And the only way to really, I think, counter that is to actually impeach them all. Impeach Garland, impeach Trump, or Biden. Trump's already been impeached, I think. Enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so. I don't think you can impeach somebody when they're not president, but I'm sure they'll find a way.
I meant Biden, but
all right. Yeah, last thing. All right. We all know this lady apologized. We're not going to play the video of the crazy plane lady that saw the whatever. And I love the jokes about the hot, crazy Matrix. So funny because she's definitely not ugly. I'm just going to throw that out there. But let me go ahead and bring this up. The big conspiracy, which I'm not going for. I don't see it. So this is the original video. This is her. There's a lot of it going around that it's not the same person apologizing. What do you guys think? Do you think it's the same person?
yes.
I do too. Like I mean, it's with makeup. It's straight on. She's not drunk yelling on a plane.
Correct.
She's 38, from what I understand, single. If anybody out there is interested,
And doesn't she run a marketing company?
she is an executive at a marketing company in Dallas, Texas.
That's all I got. I'm gonna. I say it was all a big ruse and gimmick for attention.
There you go. It honestly, this whole story, this whole thing is like, okay, you found her. Congratulations. Can we move on to a real problem?
Yeah, I don't know why it's such a big deal across the board. I think the reason why it's becoming a big deal is because she's attractive. I think that everybody's like, oh, we can get clicks because she ain't ugly. She crazy, but she ain't ugly. I don't know.
The whole thing is just why? Like, why is this your focal point? If this is your focal point and it's starting to catch on, a lot of people are saying it because Brett Cooper was pushing it. Get off the internet and go touch some grass. Like, really, go touch grass.
The one time Kelly watches the show, she never watches the show anymore. I knew I was going to get shit for just saying she's not ugly. She's crazy as hell. She's absolutely batshit crazy. I'm like, who commented she's not? Of course it's Kelly. And of course I'm getting a text message right now.
What'll happen next are some crazy right-wing conspiracy theorists will start to like Photoshop pictures with like her and Hunter like doing crack cocaine together or something.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious. I think that her response to it was also, I mean, she started crying at the end. It's bullshit. Like, first off, she should be on the banned flight list. Like, if they didn't do the whole, they really should have done toxicology on her. If she was sober and she just like had a meltdown like that, you can have whatever. But if she actively chose to get drunk and all these different things, she should be on a no-fly list. Personally, like that's enough. Like she went. I mean, that's like the whole concept of you can't yell fire in a crowded theater if you're losing your shit because you drank too much. Casey, you got a differing opinion on this?
Well, you got to be careful with that statement. The Supreme Court has came out and said you can yell fire in a theater. Like, everybody loves to use that example, but they fail to recognize the Supreme Court has come out and said you can yell that.
Really?
But yes, the bigger thing is when it comes to this situation and what she said. Yeah, she said blow up a plane, right? And what did we learn? What was his face? The actor that said that in a show. What is his freaking face? Saying bomb on the plane. Dang it. I can't think of it right now. He's hilarious. He's in Zoolander. No. Dang it. I can't think of his name right now. But overall.
Billy Zane?
No. What is his name? He's on Meet the Parents too. What is his? Because that's the movie. Meet the Parents.
I don't know. Anyways, go ahead.
He says it, and it's just hilarious. But as what you were saying, Ben Stiller.
Oh,
thank
you mean the main guy? You mean Zoolander? Not he was in Zoolander.
Yes,
Zoolander.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't say bomb on a
Zoolander.
plane. Bomb, 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 bomb. Yeah, that. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. Sorry.
So when it comes to, she should be investigated. The part that I find ridiculous is the internet was so fascinated with trying to figure out who this person is. We still don't even know who the pipe bomber is.
Right.
From January 6th. Like, where are your priorities?
There was no pipe bomber. That's why it was CIA or FBI or somebody that needed to put a damn fake pipe bomb that never went off.
Priorities.
whatever. I'm getting yelled at by Kelly right now. Seriously. Anyways, we're well over the hour. Final words, Dave Brown.
No, I have none, man. I'm just, I'm tired.
Yeah, agreed. That's why I don't know how much more we could do these shows until like could take a little. I mean, a lot of the people like Crowder had a break on the summer. We've been doing a pretty constant, and then Rocky and I are going to be starting a show in October as well. So, anyways,
I saw,
Casey,
Anomaly. He had a big video yesterday where he was just like I'm tired. Trying to reveal the truth and talk about things that matter, and I get attacked from this side and from that side, and I'm just trying to help. And he's like, it's exhausting, so he's going to take a 2-week break. It's a lot, because there's a lot of crazy shit going on in our society right now, and I think all of us want things to improve. We want things to be free and fair and truthful, and we just don't see it, and it's just really frustrating.
Absolutely. Casey, final words.
Not really. Just make sure you're looking out for your fellow Americans. Like that's the part that I'm really annoyed about this whole Hawaii thing is people could come together and help them. This nation is amazing in what we're able to accomplish. The government doesn't have to do it if we can all do it. If we can all come together. So think about how you can help your neighbors, do things for your friends, family without expecting things in return. Help out people in Hawaii if you can. Don't give it to the government. They're just going to do other things with the money.
I say one thing, the Michael Orr story is now suing the family, by the way. This is what happens when you don't spend your NFL money correctly and you're now retired and can't make any more money except for signing autographs. The family may have wronged you, but it's very interesting that he's waiting 20 years or whatever since the movie, 15 years to come out with it. I just think that is the epitome of American right there. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, have a great day, guys. God bless. Have a lovely evening, and we're out.